It's 2:17 a.m. Your house is silent, except for the soft hum of something electrical in the background. You shift slightly in bed, half awake, when you feel it. The familiar weight at your side. Your dog pads into the room, pauses, then gently drops something onto your chest. A toy. Not thrown, not chewed, just placed. You blink, confused. You're not playing. You're barely conscious. And yet, there they are. Tail slow, eyes soft, waiting. You've probably always assumed this meant one thing. They want to play. But behavioral neuroscience tells a completely different story. What your dog is doing right now is one of the most complex expressions of social bonding in the animal kingdom, and most owners have no idea. Let's start with the play theory, because it sounds reasonable. Your dog brings you a toy. Toys are for playing, therefore, they want to play. Simple. But here's the problem. If your dog just wanted to play, why do they bring you toys when you're clearly unavailable? When you're on your laptop, when you're eating, when you're asleep? They have other options. They could chew it themselves, toss it in the air, run laps around the room. Many dogs do exactly that. So why interrupt you? Why bring it to you specifically, and then sometimes not even insist on playing? Why do they just sit there, waiting? And even stranger, why do some dogs bring their favorite toy, the one they protect, the one they hide? If this were just about play, that behavior wouldn't make sense. So what's actually happening? To understand that, we need to go deeper into how dogs see relationships. In 2013, researchers at the University of Veterinary Medicine Vienna, led by Lisa Horn, conducted a study that changed how we understand dogs forever. They adapted a psychological test originally designed for human infants, called the Strange Situation Test. Here's how it works. A dog is placed in a room with their owner. Then the owner leaves. Then a stranger enters. Then the owner returns. And what they found was extraordinary. Over 61% of dogs showed strong attachment behaviors toward their owners, seeking proximity, showing distress when they left, and displaying clear relief when they returned. These are the same patterns observed in human infants with their primary caregivers. Let that sink in. Your dog doesn't just like you, they are bonded to you through the same attachment system that connects a baby to their parent. And this is where it gets important. In attachment psychology, there's a behavior called secure base signaling. It's when an individual brings something valuable, an object, attention, or presence, to their attachment figure as a way of reinforcing the bond. So when your dog brings you a toy, they're not just asking for play, they're offering something of value. When your dog does this, they are performing the single most fundamental behavior in attachment psychology. They're saying, "This matters to me, so I'm giving it to you." They're not being needy. They're telling you you're safe, you're trusted, you're part of their inner circle. But here's where it gets really interesting, because this isn't just psychology, it's chemistry. In 2015, a groundbreaking study from Azabu University in Japan, led by Takefumi Kikusui and published in Science, explored what happens inside the brain when dogs and humans interact. The researchers measured levels of oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone. It's the same chemical released when a mother looks at her newborn, when close friends hug, when trust is formed. Here's what they discovered. When dogs made eye contact with their owners, oxytocin levels increased in both the dog and the human. Not a little, significantly. In some cases, human oxytocin levels increased by over 300%. And then something remarkable happened. That increase caused the dogs to seek more interaction, which triggered more oxytocin in humans. A feedback loop. A biological loop of bonding. Now think about what happens when your dog brings you a toy. They approach you, they make eye contact, they wait. You respond. Maybe you smile, touch them, speak to them. That loop activates again and again. And here's the key detail. This oxytocin feedback loop does not occur the same way between wolves and humans. Even wolves raised by humans don't show the same response. This co-evolved specifically between dogs and humans over thousands of years. And this is where it gets deep. Your dog bringing you a toy isn't just a behavior, it's a chemical conversation.
So when did this start? The answer is basically from the beginning. Around 15,000 years ago, long before cities, before agriculture, before written language, wolves began approaching human camps. Not aggressively, cautiously. The ones that were less fearful, more tolerant, stayed closer. Over generations, those wolves evolved. They became dogs. And humans, whether consciously or not, selected for traits that made bonding easier. Eye contact, social cooperation, shared attention. There's archaeological evidence to support this. In a 14,000-year-old burial site in Bonn, Germany, a human was buried alongside a dog that had been cared for through illness. This wasn't a working animal. This was family. Genetically, modern dogs even show differences in chromosome regions linked to social behavior, particularly those associated with Williams-Buren syndrome in humans, a condition linked to extreme sociability. So when your dog brings you a toy, they're not doing something random. They're participating in a ritual that has been shaped over 15 millennia. A ritual of sharing, bonding, and trust. Now, I want to tell you about a study that nobody talks about because the finding seems impossible at first. In 2017, researchers from the Mayo Clinic studied sleep patterns in people who share their beds with dogs. The data showed increased movement, disrupted sleep cycles, and reduced sleep efficiency, by as much as 20% in some cases. Objectively, sleeping with your dog made sleep worse. And yet, almost every participant reported feeling more rested, more comforted, and less anxious. How is that possible? Because sleep isn't just physical, it's psychological. And maybe your dog bringing you toys at night, staying close, insisting on connection, isn't disrupting your rest. Maybe it's restoring something more ancient than sleep itself, a sense of safety. And this is where the newest research comes in. In 2022, researchers from the University of Arizona and Monash University studied physiological synchronization between dogs and their owners. They measured heart rate variability, HRV, and cortisol levels. What they found was extraordinary. Dogs and their owners showed correlated heart rhythms when they were relaxed together. Their stress levels, measured through cortisol, also aligned. Their nervous systems were in sync. This only happens within bonded pairs. Strangers didn't show it. Unfamiliar dogs didn't show it. Only dogs and humans with established emotional bonds. So when your dog brings you a toy, sits with you, waits for you, it's not just emotional, it's biological synchronization. Their body is literally tuning itself to yours. There's one last thing I need to tell you, and it might be the most important part of this video. If your dog has been bringing you toys for months or years, and one day they suddenly stop, don't brush it off. Dogs are creatures of habit. When a deeply established behavior disappears overnight, there's always a reason. It could be environmental, a new person in the house, a change in routine, stress. It could be physical pain. Dogs often stop social behaviors before showing obvious signs like limping or stiffness. Or, in older dogs, it could be cognitive decline. Studies estimate that over 35% of dogs above age 8 show early signs of canine cognitive dysfunction. Your dog doesn't have language. Behavior is the only way they can tell you something is wrong. So, pay attention. So the next time you wake up at 2 a.m. with a toy resting gently on your chest and your dog sitting there, watching you in the dark, remember what's actually happening. 15,000 years of evolution. A neurochemical loop no other species shares with us. an attachment system built to mirror the bond between parent and child, all pointing to one thing: you are their safe place. And honestly, the science suggests it might be doing something for you, too. If this changed how you see your dog, subscribe to my channel and drop a comment below. I want to know, where does your dog sleep tonight? And if you want to understand what your dog is really thinking when they ignore you, that's for the next video. And the science behind it is even stranger than you'd expect.